for you! It's... That's real funny, tough guy! Real funny! Here you go!
Reinforcements have arrived. Timer started.
Yes, sir. For king and country. 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 On my way. On my way. On my way. Commander. On my way. Indeed. For king and country. For king and country. On my way. For king and country. For king and country. On my way. For king and country. For king and country. For king and country. Indeed. For king and country. Indeed. Indeed.
Okay.
Indeed. On my way. On my way. Yes, sir. For king and country. Commander. For king and country. For king and country. Indeed. On my way.
Building infiltrated. Building infiltrated. Reinforcements have arrived.
You got it.
10 minutes remaining.
Yeah, I'm on it. Time to rock and roll. I'm on it. I'm on it. Time to rock and roll. I'm on it. I'm on it. I'm on it. Time to rock and roll. I've got a present for you. I've got a present for you. I'm on it. I'm on it. Time to rock and roll. Time to rock and roll. Time to rock and roll. Real tough guy. Rock and roll. I'm on it. Time to rock and roll. Time to rock and roll. Time to rock and roll.
Reinforcements have arrived. Reinforcements
Yes,
have arrived. GDI reinforcements have arrived.
Acknowledge. 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 Engineering affirmative. Engineering affirmative. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Acknowledge. Engineering. Waiting order. Yes, sir. Waiting order. Affirmative. Yes, right away, sir. Affirmative. Right away, sir. Waiting order. Acknowledge. Affirmative. Affirmative. Vehicle report. Waiting order. Waiting order. Acknowledge. Acknowledge. Reporting. Affirmative. Acknowledge. Acknowledge. Yes, acknowledge. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Affirmative. Acknowledge. Affirmative. Knowledge. 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 Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Acknowledge. 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 Yes, sir. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Affirmative. Knowledge. Yes, sir. Acknowledge. Affirmative. Affirmative. Waiting order. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Engineering. Affirmative. Engineering. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Waiting
lost.
order. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Engineering. Transmission. Engineering. Transmission. Waiting orders. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Vehicle reporting. Affirmative.
New construction
Reporting.
options.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Waiting orders. Acknowledged. Engineering. Transmission. Engineering. Transmission. Vehicle reporting. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Yes, waiting. Reporting. Acknowledged.
New construction options.
Yes, sir. Affirmative.
New construction options.
Acknowledged.
Building.
Vehicle reporting. Acknowledged.
Building.
Affirmative. Get away, sir. Roger. Reporting. Right away. Affirmative. Vehicle report. Acknowledged.
Unit lost.
Yes, sir. You got it.
Unit
Reporting.
ready.
Affirmative. Vehicle reporting. Affirmative.
Training.
Waiting order. Affirmative.
Building.
Ready and waiting.
Unit ready.
Acknowledged. Engineering. Transmission. Reporting.
Unit ready.
Reporting. Roger. Affirmative.
Construction complete.
Yes, sir.
New construction options. Building.
Yes, sir. Acknowledged.
Structure sold.
Affirmative. No, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Unit
Acknowledged.
ready. Building.
Awaiting orders. Acknowledged. Yes, sir. Report. Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Insufficient funds.
Affirmative. Awaiting orders. Vehicle reporting. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Awaiting orders. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Unit ready.
Affirmative. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Waiting orders. Yes, sir.
Construction complete.
Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Building.
Yes, sir. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Vehicle. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. 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 Awaiting order. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Yes. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Vehicle reporting.
Unit ready.
Yes, sir. Vehicle reporting. Acknowledged. Acknowledged. Awaiting order. Acknowledged. Vehicle reporting. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Cannot deploy here.
Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Building.
Yes, sir.
Building. Construction complete. Building.
Waiting order. Affirmative.
Unit ready. Building.
Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Reporting. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Report. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Insufficient funds.
Vehicle. Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Unit
Yes,
ready.
sir. Waiting
Construction
affirmative.
complete.
Yes, affirmative.
Building.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Unit ready.
Affirmative.
Building.
Yes, sir. Affirmative. Yes, sir.
Building.
Acknowledge. Acknowledge. Affirmative. Affirmative. Acknowledge. 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 Vehicle. Affirmative.
Unit ready.
Affirmative.
Building.
Affirmative. Acknowledge. Acknowledge. Affirmative. 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 Yes, sir. Acknowledge. Affirmative.
Unit ready. Building.
Acknowledge. Acknowledge. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Acknowledge. Affirmative. Affirmative. Acknowledge. Affirmative. Acknowledge.
Unit
Affirmative.
ready.
Reporting. Acknowledge.
Building.
Acknowledge. 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 Affirmative.
Construction
Affirmative.
complete.
Acknowledge. Acknowledge. Affirmative. Affirmative.
Unit ready.
Affirmative.
Building.
Acknowledge. Acknowledge. Affirmative. Affirmative.
On hold.
Waiting
Building.
orders.
Unit
Acknowledge.
ready. Primary
Waiting
building
orders.
set.
Yes, sir. Waiting orders. Affirmative. Acknowledge. Affirmative. Affirmative. Acknowledge. Vehicle affirmative. Acknowledge.
Unit ready. Building.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Acknowledge.
Unit ready. Building. Unit ready.
Roger. Affirmative.
Building.
Vehicle reporting. Acknowledge. Waiting orders.
Unit ready. Building.
Yes, sir. Acknowledge. Affirmative. 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 Waiting. Affirmative. Affirmative. Knowledge. Affirmative. Affirmative. Knowledge. Knowledge. Affirmative. Knowledge. Knowledge. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Affirmative. 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 Knowledge. Acknowledge. Waiting. Knowledge. Affirmative. Affirmative.
Building.
Yes, sir. Acknowledge.
Ready.
Affirmative. Acknowledge. Affirmative. Acknowledge.
Building. Unit ready.
Acknowledge. Yes, affirmative. Acknowledge. Waiting. Acknowledge. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Acknowledge. Vehicle.
Construction complete. Unit
Yes, sir.
lost.
Affirmative. Affirmative.
Building.
Acknowledge. Acknowledge. Affirmative. Acknowledge.
Unit lost.
Acknowledge.
Unit ready.
Affirmative. Acknowledge. Acknowledge. Affirmative. Affirmative. Acknowledge. 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 Affirmative. Acknowledge.
Unit lost.
Affirmative.
Unit lost.
Not a problem.
Building.
Affirmative.
Unit
Acknowledge.
lost.
Acknowledge.
Unit
Waiting.
ready.
Acknowledge. Yes, sir.
Unit
Acknowledge.
lost.
Acknowledge. Report. Acknowledge. Acknowledge. Affirmative. Acknowledge. Acknowledge. Affirmative. Affirmative. Yes. Affirmative.
Building.
Yes, sir. Affirmative. Affirmative. Acknowledge. Acknowledge.
Unit ready.
Affirmative. Acknowledge.
Building.
Acknowledge. Acknowledge. Yes. Affirmative.
Unit
Yes.
funds.
Affirmative. Acknowledge. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Affirmative. Acknowledge. Affirmative. 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 Acknowledge. Affirmative. Affirmative. Acknowledge. Affirmative.
Unit lost.
Right away. Affirmative. Yes, sir. You got it. Roger. Roger. You got it. You affirmative. Not a problem. Right away, sir.
Building. Unit lost.
Acknowledge.
Unit
Yes.
lost.
Acknowledge. Affirmative.
Unit ready.
Acknowledge.
Unit lost.
Affirmative. Acknowledge. Affirmative. Acknowledge. Affirmative. Wait. Acknowledge. Affirmative. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Acknowledge.
Mission accomplished.